Hi you guys, this is Lala. Welcome to my kitchen. What I'm going to prepare for you today is a homemade custard, or as me say, a pastry cream, or they may say a creme anglaise. So it's simple ingredients to making a custard. What I have for you, I have 4 egg yolks, I have sugar, whole milk, cornstarch, I have vanilla extract, I have butter, and I have nutmeg. So what I'm going to do is I have my pot is already kind of warm, so I'm going to pour my milk into the pot and put it on low for simmer. I'm going to put half of the sugar that I have a cup of sugar, but I'm going to put a half of that into the pot with the milk and let it come to a boil. And then I'm also going to mix my eggs, and I'm gonna mix my the rest of the sugar and the cornstarch, but I'm not gonna do that until I see that the milk is like starting to boil, because you don't want to do it too early. You want to make sure it's right when it's about to boil, and then add that. So thank you guys for joining me. Give me 1 second, I'll be right back. Okay, welcome back you guys. So I have my milk is on the stove in the pot. I'm going to add half the sugar into the milk, and I'm going to use my spatula, my rubber spatula, to give it a nice little stir. Wait till it comes to almost a boil, and when it does that, then that's when I'm going to whisk my eggs, the rest of the sugar, and I'm going to whisk the cornstarch into it. Alright, so I have my eggs right here. It's just kind of like a waiting game. I'm waiting on this to get to a boil, which I kind of have it on like almost a high heat, so it can go ahead and get to a boil, and it doesn't take long. But as you know, the elders say, things doesn't boil if you look at it. So I'm gonna try to turn my head to make sure that it go ahead and get the boiling for me. And also I have my whisk. Now I'm supposed to add my sugar and then add my cornstarch to the egg. But just me being me, I always like to whisk any type of dry ingredients. So I'm going to whisk my egg and sugar into my cornstarch and sugar, actually, I'm sorry, into my egg mix before I get the whisking. So I see that my milk right here is starting to boil. I'm going to turn my heat down just a little bit. So now is a perfect time for me to put my sugar and put my cornstarch into the egg mixture. So I have it on a strainer, and I'm just going to whisk it in, like strain it inside the egg mixture very carefully. And you guys, I'm going to take it off the heat. This is my first time actually making custard, so I am going by a recipe that I found online. So I'm going to whisk that up really well. Turn my heat down a little bit more. And see that I'm combining that very well. Sugar. Let me clean out my measuring cup. Just a second. Rinse this out really well, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a cup of the milk inside of this, and I'm going to mix that very well. Then I'm going to incorporate that back into this pot of warm milk. So I'm going to put this milk into this cup. And I turn the heat down on the milk mixture that's on the stove. So I'm going to carefully mix in this milk mixture of the milk and the sugar that I had boiling on the stove. And you have to do it very carefully, because you don't want that hot milk to just come back into your face. So you always do things when you're dealing with anything that's hot, whether it's grease, water, any type of liquids, you do it very carefully and mix that very well. You can either do it with a wooden spoon, or you can do it with a whisk, and then you stir it very well. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to add this mixture back into the warm milk that's still in a pot. There you go. Put this away. And I'm going to whisk this. Now, it's good to have a non-stick pot to whisk this in. I mean, it just makes the cooking easier. And then if you're using a whisk or spoon, you don't have to worry about scraping up the sides and the ends of the pot and having it in your mixture or your food or whatever. So, just going to whisk that a little bit. And you keep stirring this until like about 3 or 5 minutes until it thickens up. So since we have a little time on our hands, you guys should grab a snack and wait for me to come on back. Thank you for coming back, you guys. And if you can see, my custard is getting thick. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to turn the heat off and I'm going to add the butter. Let me throw this away. And I'm going to whisk that in. And it thickens the custard up even more, especially after it cools down. I incorporated my butter. Now I'm going to add my 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. And I'm going to move this skillet here to take it off the heat. It's going to mix it really well. It smells really good though. It smells like Thanksgiving, which is my favorite holiday actually. So, and I have the heat off there. And if you find that you have some lumps in your custard, then you can always use a strainer and put it in a separate bowl. But mine is pretty smooth, so I don't have that problem. But if I did, I will use a strainer. So since the custards, the consistency I want, usually people will put them in ramekins and then put in a shadow pan and put water in it and all this extra stuff. I found the perfect recipe where I can just do it on the stove and then let it cool off. I'm going to transfer this to a bowl. And then I'm going to put saran wrap on it. And I'm going to let it cool. And what you can do with this custard, you can eat it just like that. It's like a really bougie pudding, if you will. And see, look how thick it is. You see that? That's the consistency you want. It's going to be thicker than that when it cooled off, of course. But you can eat the custard with whatever type of fruit topping you like. I like strawberries. I like the berries that have the most antioxidants, like the strawberries, raspberries, blueberries, you know. So I'm just going to put my custard into this bowl. I'm going to rinse this pot out. I'm going to cover that with some saran wrap. I'm going to put it in the fridge and let it cool all the way down. And then I can put it in my pretty little bowl and put whatever toppings I choose. A little clumsy. It's fine. Make sure I seal this really well. And it's good when you covering any type of foods you made that are hot. You cover it so it can like seal in the heat. Because when you put hot foods into your refrigerator, it brings down the temperature in it, and it makes anything else in there not go so well. So there you have it, guys. I just made some homemade custard, aka pastry cream, aka egg custard. You can top it with whatever you like. But I'm glad you guys spent time with me today, and look forward to seeing you again. Bye.